The narrative revolves around an English instructor who develops an inappropriate infatuation with an underage girl and faces the repercussions. The story commences with Humbert navigating through the American countryside, a bobby pin and a blood-stained firearm in his possession. His thoughts are consumed by a young female who goes by various aliases, but to him, she remains eternally Lolita. Tears stream down his face, yet he cannot divert his mind from her. In his heart, she represents the epitome of significance, the flame of his desires, and the gravest error he has ever committed. He also associates Lolita with a girl named Annabelle who perished during their adolescent years. Despite the anguish of losing the girl he once adored, Humbert persists in his quest to find a similar affection. As he ages, he decides to assume the role of an educator at an American college, and with a free summer before the fall semester commences, he plans to work on his textbook. Upon his arrival, he is greeted warmly by Charlotte Hayes, a widow. After receiving a tour of her disorganized abode, Charlotte escorts him to the garden. It is here that Humbert's attention is entirely captivated by Charlotte's daughter, Lolita, also known as Lo. She lies on her stomach in the grass, engrossed in a book, as a light drizzle falls around her. Lolita notices Humbert and smiles at him, revealing her tender age of 14. Despite Humbert's troubling nature, he is immediately enchanted by Lolita and inquires about the cost of his lodgings from Charlotte. As the days progress, Humbert silently observes Lolita, who is deeply immersed in her love for childlike pursuits such as dancing and music. She appears utterly disinterested in Humbert's presence, leaving him with a sense of longing and sadness. From his room, Humbert can see the bathroom, and through that, he can catch glimpses of Lolita's bedroom. He spends his time secretly watching as Lolita's mother argues with her and as she wanders about aimlessly. Deep within, Humbert secretly yearns for an unfortunate occurrence, a calamity that would remove Charlotte and everyone else from their lives, allowing him to possess Lolita completely and without any obstacles. One day, while Humbert was studying in his room, Lo entered and sought to capture his attention in a playful manner. She stood behind his desk, then surprised him by settling on his lap and affixing her chewing gum to his notebook. Initially, she bestowed upon him a challenging glance and inquired if she was developing a pimple on her face. Humbert felt immense joy at her sweet gesture and affirmed that she appeared perfect to him. Humbert grinned with delight as Lo proudly displayed her trembling chin, but their time together was abruptly interrupted when they heard Charlotte calling for Humbert. To avoid detection, Humbert swiftly removed the gum from his notebook and began chewing it himself before Charlotte entered the room. Later, Charlotte instructed Lo to pack her belongings for camp and subsequently boarding school. However, Lo vehemently refused to cooperate. When Charlotte stated that everyone, including Humbert, deemed it a sensible idea, Lo grew enraged, seized her doll, and stormed out of her room. As she passed Humbert, she intentionally struck his arm and labeled him a traitor. As the time for departure approached, Lo engaged in heated disputes with her mother en route to the automobile. However, she bestowed a warm embrace upon Louise, their maid. Just as Lo was about to enter the car, she noticed Humbert observing her from a window. Disregarding her mother's annoyance, Lo sprinted back to their abode, ascended the stairs, and leaped into Humbert's arms, hugging him tightly and sharing a gentle kiss. Shortly after, she returned to the car without uttering a word, and they swiftly departed. Humbert proceeded directly to Lo's chamber and concealed himself within her closet, but upon hearing Louise summoning him, he swiftly composed himself to greet her. Louise handed him a letter, and upon reading it, he was taken aback. The letter was from Charlotte, professing her affection for him. She expressed her desire for him to depart upon her return because if he remained, it would signify his willingness to become her spouse and Lo's paternal figure. This last part profoundly impacted Humbert. On Lo's wall were various collages, including a magazine clipping depicting a father embracing his daughter and the letters HH enclosed within a heart, suggesting that Lo yearned for a paternal figure as well. After 2 weeks, Humbert and Charlotte wed, but Lo was absent from the ceremony. Even though Charlotte exhibited affection towards Humbert, he did not reciprocate much interest in her. As their marriage progressed, Humbert evaded his marital duties by secretly administering sleeping pills to Charlotte. One day, Humbert returned home to find Charlotte in tears. She had discovered his diary, where he had written derogatory remarks about her, referring to her as a fat cow, old, stupid, and annoying. Charlotte became profoundly angry and hurt. She labeled Humbert a despicable criminal and declared her intention to depart, taking their daughter with her. Humbert was shocked and uncertain of how to proceed. He attempted to explain that the diary entries were merely part of a novel he was writing, but Charlotte remained unconvinced. Humbert went to prepare beverages, hoping to defuse the situation. Upon his return, he received a phone call bearing the tragic news that Charlotte had been killed, struck by a vehicle outside their home. A child presented Humbert with some letters, stating that Charlotte had intended to mail them before the accident. Humbert was perplexed but relieved that he did not have to feign mourning for his wife's demise. After some time had elapsed, he packed those belongings and went to retrieve her from camp. Upon seeing him, Lo greeted him with a joyful smile, addressing him as Dad. During their car journey, Lo inquired about her mother's health, and Humbert responded uncertainly, mentioning that the doctors were unsure and suspected it might be something related to her abdomen. Lo changed her attire in the rear of the vehicle, and Humbert, harboring inappropriate thoughts, observed her through the rear-view mirror. When Lo returned to the front seat, Humbert pulled her close and lovingly kissed her head, expressing how much he had missed her. Lo responded by playfully teasing him, alluding to his unfaithful behavior. She taunted him, suggesting that it did not matter because he did not care about her regardless. Curious as to why she held such a belief, Humbert inquired, and Lo pointed out that he had not yet kissed her. In response, Humbert pulled over. Lo climbed onto his lap, and they shared a passionate kiss. They ceased only when a police vehicle approached beside them. The officer asked if they had seen a blue car, and Lo playfully responded while crawling over Humbert's lap. Awkwardly, the cop thanked them and drove away. Later, at the hotel where they had stopped, Humbert was occupied conversing with the front desk while Lo went to play with a dog. The dog's owner commented that his canine did not typically warm up to many individuals but seemed to take a liking to Lo. Intrigued, Lo inquired about the type of people the dog preferred. He responded that the dog favored kind individuals. Outside, Humbert happened to encounter the man Lo had conversed with earlier. In an attempt to deceive him, Humbert claimed that Lo was his daughter. However, the man saw through the deception and inquired about their plans for the following morning. Lo wakes Humbert up and enthusiastically shares all the adventures and secrets she experienced at camp. Humbert musters the courage to ask if the rumors about her getting close to someone named Charlie at camp are true. Lo playfully hints that she might have to demonstrate everything to him and jokingly starts loosening Humbert's pajama bottoms while removing her braces. While they're on the road, Lo requests Humbert to stop at a gas station because she's feeling uneasy. Humbert looks concerned, and she questions him about what he anticipated after his actions. Upon reaching the gas station, Lo steps out of the car and asks Humbert for some change so she can call Charlotte at the hospital. Humbert declines, and she insists on knowing why she can't reach her own mother. Finally, Humbert reveals the truth. As they travel through various parts of the United States, later on, Humbert and Lo find themselves sleeping in separate beds. Lo weeps for her deceased mother and seeks solace in Humbert's embrace. Eventually, they reach Beardsley College, where Humbert assumes a teaching position. Despite the obstacles, risks, and seemingly grim circumstances, Humbert views Beardsley College as a haven, and he arranges for Lo to attend the progressive Beardsley Prep School. One afternoon, Lo tells Humbert she wants to be in a school play, a fact he already knows, but Humbert refuses her request. Determined, Lo tries to convince him, even attempting to seduce him, insisting she has every right to be in the play. She also asks for more money and permission to join. During Lo's rehearsals, Humbert spots a man named Claire Quilty, whom he recalls meeting at a hotel at the start of their journey. To his surprise, Quilty is the playwright for Lo's play. Their relationship becomes strained, and Humbert tries to appease Lo by giving her gifts. He becomes suspicious when he learns she's been skipping piano lessons, claiming to practice for the play with a friend. Humbert doubts her story, leading to a heated argument. Accusing Lo of trying to leave him, Humbert demands the money back, but she insists she earned it. In a fit of anger, Humbert slaps her, and she retaliates, accusing him of harming her like her mother. Desperate to reconcile, Humbert finds Lo at a pharmacy, where she reveals she wants to leave Beardsley and choose their next destination. Reluctantly, Humbert agrees, and Lo insists they reach a place called Was within a week. She explains they must see ceremonial dances at Magic Caves, followed by climbing the Red Rock at Elephant Stone 2 weeks and 4 days later. Excited, Lo shows Humbert the map. As they travel, Humbert becomes paranoid, convinced they're being followed. He asks Lo to write down the car's license plate, suspecting a detective. His paranoia distracts him, leading to a flat tire. While he fixes it, Lo takes control of the car and drives off. Humbert catches up, and in a moment of frustration, he slaps her again when he discovers she altered the license plate information. Filled with regret, Humbert apologizes, but Lo, hurt and upset, runs away. In a rush, Humbert chases after her and sincerely apologizes. They decide to spend the night at Crawford's Lake Point cottages. Humbert heads to the barbershop and catches news on the radio that Quilty isn't at the studio because he's in WASP. Back in their room, he finds Lo looking messy, with muddy feet and smudged lipstick. Thinking she's been out, Humbert accuses her, but she denies it, claiming she just woke up. Overwhelmed by his feelings, he forcefully pushes her onto the bed, urging her to confess who she's been with. Seizing the moment, he acts on his desires, but instead of answers, Lo responds with smiles, kisses, and giggles. Later that day, Lo falls sick, and Humbert rushes her to the hospital. She's admitted and kept overnight. The doctor asks Humbert to leave to avoid catching the illness. The next day, Humbert phones the hospital to check on Lo's condition. The nurse informs him she's feeling better, and her uncle, Gustav, came and checked her out. Hearing Quilty's name linked with Lo's departure, Humbert panics. Determined to find Lo, Humbert hurries back to the hospital. He goes to her room but finds it empty. The bed is neatly made, and the flowers he brought are in the bin. Fear and frustration grip him. He loses control, attacking the doctor in a bid for answers. The hospital staff struggles to restrain him, and the police arrive. Humbert manages to calm down, apologizing before leaving. Humbert embarks on a relentless search for Lo, revisiting all their haunts, but he's always a step behind, clueless about who took her. His efforts yield nothing, and eventually, he gives up. Returning to Beardsley, he feels defeated, disillusioned, and uncertain. 3 years later, Humbert receives a letter from Lo. She informs him she's married now and expecting a baby. She shares her struggles and requests financial support for her new family. Humbert decides to visit her and finds her grown up and changed. Despite the years, she warmly welcomes him, and he notices she's pregnant. In their conversation, Humbert reluctantly admits that he's still searching for the person who took Lo away. Lo reassures him that her husband isn't involved in it. But Humbert persists, wanting to know the truth. To his surprise, Lo reveals that it was Quilty who took her. She confesses that she had strong feelings for Quilty, considering him the only man she truly liked. Humbert presses her for reasons, but she remains silent and heads to the kitchen. Determined, Humbert follows her and inquires about Quilty's whereabouts. Lo explains that Quilty had a penchant for young girls and filmed them in his large house. When Lo expressed her desire to be with Humbert and not Quilty, he kicked her out. Humbert pleads with Lo to join him once more, but she interprets his plea as an inappropriate offer of money. At a roadside motel, Humbert assures Lo that she'll receive the money regardless of her decision. After their farewell, he poses a poignant question: will she ever forget what he did to her? Instead of a direct answer, Lo focuses on her dog, using it as a silent farewell to Humbert. Driven by rage, Humbert tracks down Quilty at his grand estate. Their confrontation escalates, and Humbert ultimately takes Quilty's life. Later, in a harrowing scene, Humbert speeds recklessly while being pursued by the police, who seek him for Quilty's murder. Eventually, they apprehend Humbert, leading to his arrest and imprisonment. Tragically, Humbert dies behind bars in November, and Lo succumbs to childbirth complications the following month. Please turn on alerts, like, and subscribe for more videos similar to this one. Thank you for watching.